Hey there. This video is going to demonstrate a change I have made in Otus that I think is going to help with standards-based grading and some of the kind of wonky results we were getting back on some of the assessments. And I think for this point in the school year, give us a more accurate representation of where students are with standards. So after talking with Paul from Otus and with Abby, we have made a small addition to Otus. We didn't take anything away, but before, decaying average was our only option to calculate the mastery. And I think decaying average is the perfect way to calculate it long term. So, for example, at the end of the year, if you really want a clear representation of where a student is, I think decaying average is definitely the way to go. That will give less weight to early attempts on a standard and give more weight to the most recent attempts on the standard. So that should tell us, growth wise, where a student is for real. However, early on in the school year and with fewer attempts on a standard, decaying average can give you kind of a not so accurate depiction of where a student is. So for that reason, we have added another way to calculate standards, and we chose mean, which will give you just a straight average based on, the number the student got correct and the attempts made on the standard. So I'm just going to show you, this is going to give you some different looks in a couple different places. One is going to be gradebook, and the other is going to be on report cards. So, and kind of just to be clear, this doesn't change, anything the student did. It doesn't change any data. It just gives you a different way to look at the same data. It's a different calculation of the same data. And in some cases, it can really give you a different, score or standard mastery level. For example, we've had some teachers who will give like a 10 question quiz, and the last two questions, because of decaying average, are weighted more than the first two questions. So we've had instances where students maybe miss the first 8 questions, but they get the last two correct, and they're given a score of mastery because the last two are weighted more in decaying average. So if you just click over to mean, you're going to get a more accurate score of how the student actually done on that single assessment. So I'm just going to show you again just what it looks like in different places. So here I am in a 5th grade grade book. You got all your standards that you have logged into an assessment, and you can see the number of attempts and how the students have scored. So right now it's calculating by decaying average, so you can kind of see the scores based on decaying average. If you click these 3 dots, you can go to mastery setting and then change it to mean, and you get the mean mastery scores. So you still have the same standards, the same number of attempts, but you can see that the grades did change, sometimes slightly, sometimes a great deal. So just kind of giving you that other option. And I think early on, like I said, in the school year, mean is probably going to give us a more accurate representation. I think mean is also closer to what we're used to in a points stand base. Like I know parents are more used to a points grading system, students and probably most teachers are used to mean in a points based system. So there is that for us. And again, it just toggles back and forth, so you can still see both. The data doesn't change, it's just a different calculation of the same data. The second place you're going to see this is on report cards. So I'm going to go into analytics and then click on reports and then choose report card. So you have this option when you're running your report cards. And then here, when you're going to fill in all of your information just like before, but on mastery setting, you now have the option, I have to go standards, you now have the option of running it by mean or running it by decaying average. Before, we only had the decaying average option. So the recommendation for all elementaries is, particularly for this 9 weeks and possibly until the very end of the school year, because we don't have that many attempts on the standards yet, that you run your report cards using mean. This will give parents, students, and teachers a more accurate view of where their students are. So if you have any questions about this, let me know. If I were you, I might run a decaying average report, and then I would run a mean report and see if there are any glaring differences. Share them with your teachers, because they know, the most about where students are, and see which one paints a more accurate picture. But I think for consistency's sake, and for just the way that the data is going to be calculated for now, all elementaries, the recommendation is that you run your grade reports using mean as the mastery setting. So if I would be happy to come sit with you and go through it if you want to. If you got any questions, you can call me or email me. I'm happy to come to your schools and talk you through it. Also, please share this with your teachers, because this is going to be new for them also. And again, I'm happy to come out on their planning and work with them, or we could do an after school thing or whatever. I'm here for you to help you out. So I hope adding mean will solve some of the problems that we've seen lately. I think it will, and Paul thinks it will. So I think we're good to go. You guys have a great day. Thank you.